Welcome to Your Government in Action. I'm Joy Burns-Roger. Your Government in Action is a weekly program proudly produced by Bahamas Information Services to inform the Bahamian public of the work being done by the Bahamian government and its agencies on a national level to promote a progressive and prosperous Bahamas. The government of the Bahamas has taken a position to develop a comprehensive disaster management strategy as it relates to the hazard the country faces. This, according to Minister responsible for Disaster Preparedness, Management and Reconstruction, the Honorable Miles Larota.
This strategy is an integrated approach to disaster management that encompasses the management of all hazards through all phases of the disaster management cycle, namely prevention and mitigation, preparedness, response, recovery, and rehabilitation. Effective disaster management depends upon the consistent coordination and integration of the work of many agencies, organizations, individuals, and the community at large. The objective of this month is to promote key messages and actions in order to strengthen preparedness and response at the national and community level. Communities must be actively involved in their own preparedness and safety. The key to effective disaster management is preparedness, as this helps minimize the impact of hazards. The theme is centered on the concept that we all, as government, citizens, businesses, religious institutions, civic organizations, and communities have a role to play in the collective effort of disaster preparation and response. Our archipelago lies in an active hurricane zone. In their forecast for the 2022 hurricane season, the well-known researchers at Colorado State University in the United States predicted an above normal Atlantic hurricane season this year with 19 named storms, 9 hurricanes, and 3 major hurricanes. June 1st marks the start of the annual Atlantic hurricane season that ends November 30th. And the hazards that most often affect our country are those associated with tropical cyclones, tropical depressions, tropical storms, and hurricanes. The hazards include storm surge flooding, inland flooding from heavy rain, destructive winds, tornadoes, and high surf and rip currents. The month of May, then, is an opportune time to give focused attention to making preparations for the hurricane season. All Bahamians and residents should take the advisory of the scientists seriously. Later during this presser, the Director of Meteorology, Mr. Jeffrey Simmons, will provide you with additional information on the forecast for the 2022 hurricane season. Our nation is also in the precarious position of having to change the way we perceive disaster risks within a changing climate. The influence of climate change has already begun to change our way of life by fueling the development of superstorms that strengthen quicker and keep their intensity longer. Whereas Category 5 storms, as seen with the impact of September 2019 Hurricane Dorian, were once rare, they now occur with disturbing frequency. Hurricane Dorian's landing in September 2019 demonstrated the potential of these storms in an era of climate change. Dorian hit at Category 5 strength with maximum sustained winds of 185 miles per hour. The storm wind gusts of 220 miles per hour and surge of more than 20 feet caused devastation across Abaco and Grand Bahama. Dorian is the worst natural hazard in the country's history. This hazard resulted in mammoth disaster. We lost family, friends, and neighbors. The storm caused an estimated $3.4 billion in losses and damage.
State Minister LaRota said throughout the month of May, the National Emergency Management Agency, in collaboration with its partners, will reach out to the members of the general public with engaging, educational, and informative activities and information geared towards preparedness and what role individual Bahamians and Bahamian communities can play in these efforts. A first for the Department of Inland Revenue and the Customs Department as they jointly opened the doors to the media in a new home of the Combined Revenue Enhancement Unit. Todd Isaacs has this story.
A unit tasked with ensuring tax compliance operations and informing taxpayers of the comprehensive effort to increase the rate of compliance relative to business license fees, value-added tax, real property tax, and custom excise tax and duties. Mrs. Shonda Strawn, Acting Chief Valuation Officer and Controller, Department of Inland Revenue, addressed the specially held press conference to detail the formation, focus, and work of the newly formed joint unit.
We have embarked upon a very comprehensive compliance initiative, and that initiative will make sure that our taxpayers know what we expect from them relative to paying their taxes. So, we will go to you, our general public, and we will bring you into our house so that you know what it is we expect from you. Our forum today will begin that process. And so the Department of Inland Revenue and the Customs Department, we are working very assiduously to increase voluntary compliance through greater taxpayer awareness and education. We have shifted our resources and increased the level of customer service activities provided to our taxpayers, making it easier for taxpayers to pay and for them to receive answers from the very many questions that they always have. In January, simultaneously with the announcement from the Prime Minister, the Revenue Enhancement Unit was launched, or I should say it was reestablished, because it did exist prior to this year. The Revenue Enhancement Unit is a dedicated unit consisting of the compliance and collections arms of the Department of Inland Revenue and the Customs Department. The REU, as we refer to, is charged with identifying and changing the behavior of taxpayers that are non-compliant, either because they are unintentionally or intentionally incorrectly filing and paying the wrong amount.
But firstly, I would like to say to you this morning that the Customs Revenue Enhancement Unit is working day to day in close coordination with the entire Bahamas Customs Department, the Department of Inland Revenue, and also with the Ministry of Finance. Well, you may ask exactly what is the responsibility of the Customs Revenue Enhancement Unit. My response would be to tell you that our objective is to strengthen customs compliance in the Bahamas and to ensure that our nation remains a competitive participant in the global world of international trade while safeguarding the security of our country and making certain that everyone plays by the same rules. That was a mouthful. So let me break this down into layperson's terms for you this morning. With more than 100 ports of entry throughout the country that is surrounded by water, the Bahamas Customs Department plays a critical role in our nation. We in the Customs Department try to ensure that illicit goods that could harm our people, damage our agriculture and natural resources, that could hurt our industry or even threaten our way of life, that these goods do not enter our country. Every year, the Customs Department helps to keep weapons and drugs off our street, ensuring that the Bahamas remains a safe place for our people and our visitors alike. And as you know, in recent times, this has not been a very easy task, for there have been so many inventive ways of smuggling that these persons are using even today. We also ensure that the Bahamas remains a competitive participant in the global economy by working to help make trade faster, not just faster, cheaper, and even more predictable. The effect of working on the customs side of the Revenue Enhancement Unit helps to guarantee that our businesses have better and more reliable access to materials and goods from abroad that they need to operate in. We want to send a clear message to the world that the Bahamas is a country where investors are welcome and we embrace trade facilitation. We in the Bahamas Customs, we do take our job seriously, and we are a nation of over 30 islands and numerous keys, where we want to have a reliable and effective trade as our watchword of the day. So customs duties and fees are a vital source of revenue for our nation. The Customs REU, in conjunction with the Customs Department, ensure that these duties and fees are collected in an equitable manner. This means that everyone must pay their fair share, that no businesses are able to gain an advantage by cheating the system, and that businesses which do pay their fair share should not be the ones doing so, and this responsibility should be shared by all. Most of all, it means that the government of the Bahamas collects the revenue that the government is entitled to. This money, this revenue is to invest in our people and in our country. When traders and other individuals fail to comply with customs laws and policies, they are putting the safety of our nation at risk. They are hindering efficient trade for all. As the Customs Department take increased action to address non-compliance, we are addressing those who are cheating the system for their own gain, those who deprive our country of critical revenue that is meant for the people of the Bahamas. These actions are unacceptable and cost the Customs REU for us to remain focused on a job at hand. We have seen that over the last several years, traders and other individuals who believe that the rule that applies to everyone do not apply to them, unfortunately. They are willfully attempting to violate the law. They do not care about the security of our country or about the consequences of their actions. These bad actors, what they do is they lie about the quantity, value, and type of goods they are bringing into our country through our seaports and through our airports. They lie in attempts to claim exemption that they are not entitled to. They lie and they abuse the rules that are designed to provide relief for the taxpayers recovering from hurricane damages. And they lie about our efforts that we have put forward to promote investment. They also abuse systems in place designed to facilitate trade to avoid paying customs duty altogether. Today, I want to make it very clear to you, we mean business in our attempt to end this illegal behavior. To all traders and other individuals, we expect you to play by the rules and to follow the law. This is a partnership that encompasses benefit for all of us in the Bahamas. Please make an effort to do your part in revenue reporting, because if you do not, we at the Customs REU will follow through in our mandate to stop revenue leakage and to enforce compliance. We have built a team of highly capable custom officers that since January of this year, this team
Officials of the REU thanked all our traders and importers who have always been compliant, acknowledging that they are key partners in their efforts as they continue to work together to build a system that works for everyone, while rooting out bad actors who do not pay their fair share. We will have more from the REU's press conference in the coming weeks. For Bahamas Information Services, I'm Todd Isaacs.
More from your government in action when we return. Welcome back. Attorney R. Dawson Malone, managing partner at Calendars & Co., has been appointed chairman of the Subdivision and Development Appeal Board. The Honorable Alfred Sayers, Minister of Works and Utilities, made the announcement Monday, May 2, 2022, in the boardroom of the ministry on University Drive. Lindsay Thompson has that story.
The Planning and Subdivision Appeal Board serves a critical function. In fact, the Town Planning Committee serves a critical function. It sits at the very heart of development of the built environment of the Bahamas. It is also the mechanism through which the country applies town planning. And as we know, for there to be ordered society, there has to be town planning, but especially given the challenges that the Bahamas as an island nation state facing a number of critical challenges related to global warming, rising sea levels, we have to ensure that the built environment is not only planned, but it's also resilient in order to meet the challenges of our contemporary stage. And therefore, the work being done really is at the heart of the survival of our country. It is also critical in terms of the economic viability of our country, because many of the projects are important because they establish businesses, generate employment, and of course, generate revenue for our country.
Minister Sayers described Mr. Malone as an outstanding professional patriot. He said the incoming chairman has a distinguished track record as an attorney, educator, and civically engaged citizen.
It's a little humbling to hear a little bit about yourself from one of your role models. And I do confess that I was a little apprehensive when approached by Minister Sayers for the position, but I must say that I think it's timely, it's necessary. I grew up in Abaco. As many of you may know, we've just had one of the roughest shakes with hurricanes. I was living in Grand Bahama when the hurricane came through. So appropriate and proper planning and development is so important to me as I lost friends and family. I have spent about 15 years working in litigation, impacting responsible development. So as Minister has indicated, that is probably a niche practice that I've trained in. I was very excited today to meet the other members of the committee who have assured me that which youth that I do have and inexperience, that they would guide me, help direct us, with the goal of getting a lot of these appeals out of the way so that we can have true development in this new day that we are in.
Minister Sayers said, since being called to the Bahamas Bar, Mr. Malone has appeared in every court within the jurisdiction and has success before the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council. For Your Government in Action, I am Lindsay Thompson.
Member of Parliament for West Grand Bahama and Bimini, the Honorable Obi Wilshcombe, who also serves as Minister of Social Service and Urban Development, has given the resumption of work his seal of approval and said, once completed, these two very important initiatives by the government should help stimulate and rejuvenate West Grand Bahama.
I'm very pleased of the work that's being done now. The contractors are busy. We're hoping to have both completed this year. The school, obviously, for the next school year. The people of West Grand Bahama have been waiting. It's the first school to be built in West Grand Bahama since 1967, and something we wanted to happen. It's also going to serve as an economic stimulant for the areas in the immediate Holmes Rock, West End, and of course 8 Mile Rock. The administrative complex is going to be something that I think will cause and drive business to the West Grand Bahama area. It'll also cause for many to engage now in entrepreneurial opportunities that they can see a better future. The whole idea is for us to call for transformation of West Grand Bahama. And that is why, if you look at the work that's being done, the cleanup campaign that's taking place, the work that we're planning for the administrative complex where it is today, that's going to turn into a cultural center, the work we're going to do in the various communities, we're going to transform that entire community and turn it into a very economically driven community.
Works began on the administrative complex and what is to be the Holmes Rock School some 8 years ago during the former Christie administration, but were seemingly halted in the past few years. Current Works Minister, the Honorable Alfred Sayers, doing his first tour of duty to the nation's second city since being appointed to the post, saw to the immediate resumption of construction. Minister Wilshcombe confirms that work has been accelerated, and he says tremendous progress is being seen. More from Your Government in Action when we return. Welcome back. The Davis administration is on a quest to ensure food security and sustainability. As a part of its efforts, officials are building relationships and fostering a culture of collaboration. Yantel Taylor has that story.
Minister of Agriculture, Marine Resources and Family Island Affairs, the Honorable Clay Sweeting, and a delegation travels first to Dubai, where he was able to address deficiencies experienced at home in the agriculture sector. These deficiencies consisted of climate change alongside a host of other things. Minister Sweeting and his delegation also traveled recently to Ecuador to participate in the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations 37th Regional Conference for Latin America and the Caribbean. During this time, collaborations specific to food security were sought with other nations in the Caribbean that are facing similar challenges as the Bahamas. Minister Sweeting also said that his ministry is looking at ways to expand its assistance to local farmers.
Well, I think first of all, we have to recognize that food security is paramount in this country. During the pandemic, I think and especially now with the rise in food prices, we understand that not just providing food for ourselves to sell, but providing food for ourselves because of the cost. We're trying to create this narrative that food security is a part of who we are as a people, and it becomes a cultural part of us. Back in the day, farmers across this country used to farm to not just feed themselves, but help feed communities. So that's a part of what we want to do. We also want to reinvigorate the sector to include young persons women as well, so that they can be a part of this movement, that food security and agriculture will be innovative, will be transformative, and will be a way to include all sectors in this country. Young persons have not had the interest in agriculture for some time. 80% of our farmers are over 60 years old, and we've missed a generation, and we're trying to bridge the gap to include everyone, so that we don't just grow commercially, but we grow what we eat and we grow where we live. Growing up in a family island with a grandfather who was a fisherman and a farmer, you know, it's quite satisfying to grow something yourself and able to prepare it and eat it at the table. But if we all can play a role in this, backyard farming is something that can be something that you can do on your downtime. So it's a stress reliever to some. It might be stressful to some if they can't get it to grow, but you know, backyard farming along with commercializing the industry is something that has to work hand in hand. I don't think that we as a country can tackle food insecurity properly if we don't look at all aspects, how we can cause this problem to be mitigated.
Currently, the Bahamas imports 90% of its food, amounting to some 1 billion annually, with an estimated 650 million of those imports coming from the U.S. Just as the Bahamas has a huge food import bill, so do other CARICOM countries. Minister Sweeting says CARICOM is working to reduce food imports by 25% by the year 2025, and the Bahamas intends to help meet that goal. For Your Government in Action, I'm Yentel Taylor.
That's it for this week of Your Government in Action. Thank you for joining us. I'm Joy Burns-Roger. See you again next week.